Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is BGFH, and I am back for another bonus video, a little thing for E3 2017. And I thought about waiting until both of Sunday's events today, but oh boy, so many things to talk about at Microsoft's keynote that I figured, or their press briefing, that I figured, I better just, let's just talk about that for a while, because there's just so much crazy stuff happening here. So, Microsoft, I just finished watching their event not too long ago. We are, just for something interesting to look at, we're looking at Half-Life 2 Update, of which I've covered on the channel before. It's not the Black Mesa project that I don't remember if I released the Black Mesa video to you guys yet or not, but it's basically another Half-Life 2 update. Is just kind of like a better updated version of the game. And I figured, this is just something that has a lot of just ambience in the beginning that we can just kind of wander around City 17 here while we look at what Microsoft had to offer. Now, sadly, there's a lot of cool things that are coming out. Sadly, I actually just had to replace my cable modem a few days ago, and ever since then, so I've got most everything back online. My computer, most of my game systems, got my Echo and my Google Home. Problem is, as far as my Xbox One is concerned, I can get it on the internet, but I cannot seem to get it. I can't get my Windows 10 app, Xbox app, to connect to it. It sees it, but it does not want to connect. I've tried a bunch of port forwarding. I've tried doing some Google searches for other ideas, and I don't know. Unless I stumble upon something at some point in the future, I cannot get it to connect. Ever since I got my new cable modem and router combo, so I don't know. Basically, why am I telling you this? Well, because despite a lot of cool things coming out for the Xbox One in the future, I'm not able to stream stuff to my PC anymore. Thus, I'm not able to record Xbox One games for the time being. So unless I get this fixed somehow, I am going to have to not cover Xbox One games again on the channel until I can figure out how to get that resolved. I actually had a chat with Xbox support this morning and tried to work out some stuff with chat, and they gave me a couple ideas that sadly didn't work. So I don't know. Anywho, speaking of Xbox One, of course, the Project Scorpio that has been talked about for so long, it is now called the Xbox One X, which, they went on for a few minutes just going on about its technical capabilities. That's like 12 gig of DDR5 RAM and all kinds of processor specs and liquid cooling and small form factor. Should be cool. They're bragging about being able to run everything natively in 4K, including the Blu-ray, which interestingly, even though Sony owns the Blu-ray tech, they don't do on their PS4 Pro, which is kind of funny. But yeah, and at the end of the conference, they actually announced the price, $499, which, for the tech that's in it, it sounds pretty reasonable. It's a high-end device for sure, and so $499, and what was it, November 7th, I believe. So yeah, it's coming out later this year in 2017, as we suspected that it would. So yeah, Project Scorpio is now Xbox One X. I don't mind the name. Xbox One X, it's short, it's simple. There could be confusion. You've got Xbox One, and you got the Xbox One S, which they dropped, I think, by like $50 as of today or yesterday. Now the X model, which, X is for extreme, or whatever. I guess that's just going to be the most powerful one. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what'll happen there. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not really going to talk all that much about the hardware, but it is coming out. The other thing that they announced is backwards compatibility for the original Xbox games. Now, supposedly it's only going to be discs for now. I'm not sure. I would love it if, like, I have some original Xbox games, but God knows where they are buried in my closet. You know, if they sold them for like $2-3 and I could just have them, you know, or $5 and I could just have them digitally on my Xbox One, I would probably rebuy digitally a couple of games. Like if Burnout 3 comes, hell yeah, I will play that. Ninja Gaiden Black, Psyops. Those are just a couple games that were just so cool back in the day that I really liked. But they mentioned Crimson Skies specifically. So yeah, that's coming later this year. Presumably, if I had to guess, probably with the fall update. Yeah, so that's some general like hardware and overall compatibility stuff. Now let's get into the games. So I'm going to pause this just for a moment here. I got a whole list. Forza 7, going by the last couple of years of tradition, they have decided they're going to unveil. Well, this one is weird because they actually unveiled a new car. They're like, hey, they unveil these new real cars at car shows and whatever, but we're going to do it on stage at E3 because, man, why not? Some Porsche 911 car, which it looked kind of cool, but Forza Motorsport 7 coming to Windows 10 and Xbox One, of course, and they were talking about 4K, 60 frames per second. So I mean, it looked really good, and I picked up Forza 6. I did a video on Forza 6. I like the game, but I don't have the time sink. Like I like driving games, but I'm more of a casual driver. I just kind of whatever. I don't get in far enough, so I don't think I'm going to really be able to get into Forza Motorsport 7. I haven't devoted much time to 6 or Horizon 3, which is the one I really want to get into. I've played a little bit of it and I like it, and I really want to look at that recently released Hot Wheels expansion, which looks really fun for Forza Horizon 3. But yeah, Forza Motorsport 7 coming out this fall. That's kind of their every other year Forza and then a Horizon game, I guess. Metro Exodus. Yeah, this one. So I've covered, I think, both Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light. This one's going to be more of an open world thing. Now, they said in-engine, which they showed gameplay, but it was so, scripted. That's one of those that you really want to think that it's going to look that good when it comes out, but realistically, I don't know, will it? Because, will it actually look that good? I don't know. That's a little... Oh, okay. Okay, we'll go up there. I mean, it looked really cool. It's like an open world thing. That's like where you're under these metro tunnels and you're trying to survive. And I wonder if, you've kind of been trapped for the most part because the surface has been so awful in the last games. I wonder if Exodus is going to refer to, hey, you're going to actually be able to, people are maybe going to try to start getting out of the metro so you can get more into the surface of the world. I don't know, but I mean, it looks beautiful. It's like in a kind of a post-apocalypse sort of way, and that's the really funny thing about these games. A lot of these titles look really good, but here's my problem. Okay, I'm getting. My thing just froze for some reason. Here's the thing about these. Like, all these games look really good, but as a low vision gamer, I'm thinking, you got to target this enemy, or you got to find something in the environment. Like, the graphics are getting to the point where they're so lifelike, unless you have some really good, like, other visual indicators, that I guess would break realism but make it easier to play. it's going to be really hard for me to see some of that stuff. I mean, I'm already running into that in some current generation games. So, I don't know. I don't really know what to think about some of this stuff. Kind of like the next game, Assassin's Creed. I tried the first one, thought it was a neat concept, but I really never got into it much. Just some of the stuff were hard, were harder to see a little bit, trying to follow people. And that first one was kind of repetitive, and I have a couple of the other later ones like Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2, which people really like. This new one looked really cool. This Assassin's Creed Origins. But again, that's going to be one of those that I'm just going to have to kind of wait and see as far as am I going to be able to play that very well. Like I said, I've noticed that with a few of these really, really crisp looking games. I mean, they look fantastic, but it could be an issue. What else do we got here? We'll just keep moving on because there's so much stuff. Anthem, they wrapped up with this one. This is, remember yesterday I talked about BioWare at EA. They were going to unveil what the heck this Anthem game is on Microsoft's thing, and they did, and it looks kind of neat. It looks kind of like a third-person Destiny. Destiny was a game that, God, was it an Activision game? I mean, it was Bungie, but like basically, this kind of open world team, not team, but like, you party up. It's not like an MMO, but kind of has some of those sort of elements to it, where you have these raids and different things. I was sort of interested in Destiny at first, but I just never got into it. I never bought it because I just don't have that much time to devote to one thing. I don't have the core group of friends that I would do that. And again, team-based or, cooperative stuff, I like cooperative, but, I feel like that I'm going to be the weak, the third wheel on the team just because, like, if I can't see well enough to play, at such a high level, you know how people are online. Everything's just so toxic and like, which is really funny because, during the gameplay demo that they had for it, they were all just talking like, we're just doing some perfect team play action and whatever, and nobody talks like that. Like, I have rarely, if ever, had an online experience where people are just like, yeah, hey, we're cool, and we're going to team up, and you flank, I'll go here. It's just a constant, like, barrage of hate and smack talk, and, yeah, I really find that, I don't know if I should say cute or naive or both, that they thought that, yeah, this is how people will play, But it looks interesting. That's a game for 2018, though, at the very least. If not, if I had to guess, it'd probably get delayed again. But you never know. Anthem. Cuphead is that kind of 1930s-esque animated, cartoony side-scroller game that has been in development for God knows how long. That's coming out finally in September. It looks kind of neat. I don't know if I'll play it. It's supposed to be actually really hard. But yeah, I might take a look at it at some point. We'll see. So Cuphead. State of Decay 2. This actually looked kind of interesting. I tinkered with the first game. It came out originally on the Xbox 360, and I believe, and then it came to Steam. Poked around with it a little bit on the Xbox 360, and it was kind of neat. It was kind of rough around the edges, but you could tell what they were going for, and it still had its kind of charm to it. So, it's this kind of zombie apocalypse sort of a thing. But you have this, you find these band of survivors, and you're kind of choosing. There's some like RPG elements of like, how are you going to handle this situation? And then if one of the players that you play as dies, they're dead. You can't bring them back. You don't respawn. Then you just inhabit somebody else. So if you have these guys that have different stats and stuff, like, one guy's good at driving, or one guy's good at shooting, or one guy's good at repairing stuff, or whatever. There's all kinds of things that you can do with that. Yeah, but this one, it seems like the story, the polish just seems to be ramped up quite a bit to it. So State of Decay could be kind of cool. I would have to imagine that's also coming to Windows because the first one did. If not Steam, then Windows 10 through the App Store for sure, I would hope. Crackdown 3. They showed a really amusing trailer for it, which looked good. But I really want to see actual gameplay because I love I love some Crackdown 1. I played a lot of that. And, I was like, oh, okay, that was awesome. I bought and played Crackdown 2 only a little bit. Like, Crackdown 2 was nothing like the first game. It had the orbs, but it totally just felt wrong. You had these like weird zombie things, and you had to defend these, I don't remember, these generators or whatever the hell they were, but it was not, and it was a common opinion, like not many people like Crackdown 2 near as much for how they like Crackdown 1. But yeah, Crackdown 3 supposedly is coming out this year, finally, on November 7th, along with the Xbox One X. Very intrigued, and I hope that comes to the Windows Store too, because I'd love to play that on my PC, even through the Windows 10 Store. I'd probably end up getting it that way. Ori. Yeah. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That, I have not played Ori and the Blind Forest. I've been meaning to. It's this really nice looking 2D side-scrolling game. I was going to pick it up at some point, but then I waited because I think earlier this year or late last year they announced some sort of like definitive edition. Knock it off, dude. Definitive edition. And I was going to pick that up on Steam, and I don't think I have yet. So, maybe during the Steam summer sale, if that goes on sale, I might try to pick that up because it looked interesting. People said it's kind of hard, but it's a really neat kind of platformer narrative sort of a thing. So that is also coming out. What else? Oh, Minecraft is getting a 4K update, which actually looks really kind of cool, actually. And I'm hoping that it also comes to the PC version. I don't know, are they splitting that off to, from the core game? They also announced that, you're going to play mobile, the Xbox and the Windows 10 App Store version of Minecraft. All of them are going to be able to play together later, I think this summer. So those are some updates. I know for the regular version of Minecraft, people have, made all kinds of texture packs and stuff. But yeah, even with the console version now, you're going to be able to do third-party skins and all kinds of mods or all kinds of different updates and create user-created content more than you could before. So if you're still into Minecraft, again, I really love the game, but I've just fallen off of it. After I completed my little Crater City, I kind of just, I kind of petered out on it, But for those still into it, Minecraft is, there you go. Life is Strange Before the Storm. Now, I covered the first episode of Life is Strange, was it last year? And that is a game that came out of nowhere for me. Really nice surprise. Kind of a adventure game, story game, third person. What was her name? Max and Chloe were the two main characters. And I guess this is a prequel. Remember in the first game, there was this storm that was causing all kinds of craziness. There's kind of these supernatural things going on. But you had this time rewind mechanic thing that you could do. And let me tell you, the supernatural stuff aside, one thing that I really liked about Life is Strange is it did some really interesting stuff with with the story, you know, with tackling just real teenage and, you know, adult issues. There was some stuff about, like, you know, smearing someone's reputation on social media. There was some stuff on suicide. There was some stuff on, you know, like peer pressure, and just there was just all kinds. I mean, the story, it went to some really kind of grim places, but it was handled, I think, extremely well. And was it the end of chapter 2 and the end of end of chapter 3, beginning of chapter 4? Man, there was some stuff in that game. There was definitely, yeah, Life is Strange. That is coming out this summer, I think in August, I think, if I remember correctly. So I don't know if how a sequel or a prequel could work for that. Maybe they'll kind of get rid of some of the time mechanic stuff, and maybe it'll just play out like more of a teenage drama, which, you know, in fact could be kind of good, because that's the really, like, the character interactions and stuff I really liked. So that is definitely one on my watch list. What else do we got here? Life is Strange, Before the Storm, Sea of Thieves. Now, this is one that's also been in development for a while, but they finally did a live demo. It was, you know, you could tell it was really scripted. But here's the thing, like, it actually looked really cool. You know, they kind of had this narrator that, you know, kind of made this whole thing. It was like this self-aware sort of a shtick going on, but, you know, it doesn't have like a realistic style, but it's bright, it's colorful. You know, basically you're a pirate, and you can work with other people to man your pirate ship. They showed some going underwater to do, you know, to get treasure from a sunken ship, avoiding sharks, and then going onto an island and going into a cave to find some buried treasure. And, oh, okay, well, then they don't like, something goes wrong, and they don't want you to take your treasure, so then all kinds of, like, monsters come up from the ground, and if you're carrying the, if you're carrying the treasure, you got to rely on somebody else to help you. So that's interesting. And it's one of those that I really, really kind of want to play, but I wonder what the single player, like, can I solo this game? How can I play by myself? Because, I don't like really playing multiplayer with randos, random people on the internet, because they're just, again, just the way people behave, and then you add my low vision to it, and then they're like, oh, what are you, stupid? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't see this thing. I didn't do it quick enough for your elitist ways, So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely one that I want to keep I want to see, keep an eye on it. But it looks really neat for what it is. Like, I was quite interested in it, actually. Okay, Sea of Thieves, Tacoma. That's the new game set in space that is from the creators of Gone Home. That is also coming out, I forget when, like, I want to say like August or September. And that one I will absolutely be looking at on the PC. Now, here's was kind of weird. Super Lucky's Tale. Remember, Lucky's Tale was a launch game for the Oculus Rift. I covered it on the channel as one of my early VR games. So now this one is not VR. It is just it seems like a really more fleshed out, full 3D platformer. It looked really good, like pretty much like a live cartoon. Because I saw that, I'm like, God, that can't be Lucky. They showed the little squirrel, and I wasn't paying super attention right away. I'm like, oh, is that some weird Conquer thing? And then, nope, it's actually Lucky. I don't know if like it's gonna get VR support eventually, or if Oculus, maybe the game didn't do well, so they're gonna continue the franchise outside of VR, or is it going to come to the PC, or is it going to come to the Oculus store? And is it going to be a VR title as well as a flat screen title? I have no idea, but it is coming to the Xbox One in a flat screen form. So I don't know. Like I said, my 2D and 3D platforming skills have atrophied so bad the last several years that, I mean, I like the idea of a 3D platformer, and it looks really good, but I just suck at those games now. So, yeah, it's probably one that I'll consider looking at on sale at some point, just to play around with it. But like I said, I'm just not very good at those games. But if you're looking for a good 3D platformer, and Yooka-Laylee, which I have not released the video for, but I have really mixed thoughts on it, and I'm not as thrilled with it as I thought I would be. But if that's not doing it for you, you want a platformer, you have kids, and you want to give them something a little bit more, let's say, age appropriate. That might be one to kind of keep an eye out for you. Super Lucky's Tale. And what else did we get to? Shadow of War, the sequel to Shadow of Mordor, which I also covered the PC version on the channel. Remember, Shadow of Mordor was this this like crazy. It was this crazy thing based on the Lord of the Rings, but you were basically trying to fight all these orcs. You had these warring factions of orcs and everything, and it was just a really neat kind of game. Uh-oh, okay, hang on, I gotta... Run for your lives! Okay, let's get up here. Oh, he's coming. Okay, we're gonna get up here first. Okay, here we go. Now we're good. But it was this really neat thing. It had this nemesis system. So, like, if you killed an orc, or if you wounded him or whatever, like, they would hold grudges against you, and, like, they would come back and, like, kind of, you'd be doing something, and they would come back and they would want revenge, that kind of a thing. They're expanding that a lot in this sequel, Shadow of War, and it's pretty interesting because I like some people might not like the kind of more, it doesn't have as much of a serious tone this time. Like, they had these orcs that were just like, they would talk to you more, and like, they were talking smack, and just, it had this kind of humor and character to it that the first one just really didn't seem to have, or that I don't remember it having. So I actually liked that. And it's not just you this time. It's basically you can form and build armies. You can convert orcs to fight on your side, which is what they showed in the demo. But that was actually a really kind of cool stage demo that they did. And I'm more interested in it than I was. I mean, I liked the first game. Never finished it because, oof, boy, I just kept getting massacred later on. But I'm potentially rather interested in Shadow of War. Definitely seems to be bigger, and again, I think it's the personality that sells it for me more this time. So there you go, and that's coming out. I think it got delayed recently. I forget what the release date is. I think it was supposed to come in early August, but it was. I think they got delayed for a little while. Shadow. Okay. I think it was called like the Darwin Project or the. I forget what it was called. They only showed a little brief thing of it, but it seemed to be like this sort of multiplayer thing that used their new. Oh, they used to call it Beam mixer thing, which is their kind of competitor to Twitch. But seems to be this kind of multiplayer focused game. I don't know if it's like teams or just like survival, that kind of a thing. But I don't know. Maybe it looks cool, but I'm not. They didn't show a whole lot of it, so I'm not sure. They were kind of pulling this whole. Again, everyone's trying to force esports into everything, and I really think that has to stop. Like, if a game is worthy of it, it'll kind of get it on its own, and you can't force it. I mean, Rocket League was cool because it was just this out of nowhere thing that people just really gravitated to. Or you've got your staples. I mean, even though I'm not a big fan, like your Dotas, your Counter Strikes, your all that kind of a stuff. Like you have that, but yeah, I don't know what to think of that. And Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, which is this kind of recent phenomenon right now in Steam Early Access, is kind of like basically Hunger Games or Battle Royale, but there's been a few of those different things around so far. Like the Culling was one, another one. But oh, this is great. I love this part. But I have the sound way down, so you probably can't hear it. But yeah, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that's coming exclusively to consoles on Xbox One, at least for a time, and that's going to be coming out later this year. So that should be interesting for those people who like to do that kind of a game. I'm sort of intrigued about it, but I think that I would just be terrible because I would probably be one of the first people to get just murdered. And Deep Rock. Now they showed a little bit of this. I don't exactly know. It was just a short trailer. It kind of seemed like a Minecraft-esque shooter. There's been like some really kind of janky ones like that on Steam that I haven't even bothered to cover on the channel. But ever since Minecraft, there's this whole blocky aesthetic that people have just seemed to kind of take to for different things, for digging or building or shooting. There's been a couple of them on PC that I've kind of looked at but haven't really got into. Can't really think of the names of them right off the top of my head, but they showed a short trailer for that, and that was kind of neat. But so they were talking about, and I'm sure I missed a couple of games. Like those are the main ones that I have written down that I could remember. The thing with it is that early on they were saying like, oh, we're going to talk about, what was it, 42 games on stage, and 22 of them are going to be exclusive to the Xbox/Windows 10 platform. So, again, people were kind of thinking or kind of like curious what would Microsoft do at this E3, because they didn't really seem to have a lot of first-party support or, exclusives. Sony was really coming out with some really good stuff over the last few months. And, oh, this is great. Hey, Crab. Yes! I love the head crab and Barney. That's awesome. Lamar. Hey, buddy. I just had to pause for that. That's great. But yeah, so, they were talking about between the Xbox backward compatibility for the original Xbox games and their exclusives and their third-party stuff. And, here's the thing. The Xbox One, I talked about it a little bit at the beginning. Am I going to get one? Probably not. For the stuff that can come to PC, I will get it on there because I have a more powerful PC, so it'll be fine. As far as the stuff that only comes to the console, as long as it plays well and as long as it doesn't play like crap, because all the games that support Xbox One S or X are going to be, of course, backwards compatible to the, it's basically the same system, just really souped up, so the original Xbox or the Xbox One S, which are currently out right now, the games are still going to work, And I don't have a 4K TV, nor do I plan to get a 4K TV. I just don't care, right now. HDR lighting would be kind of cool, but, again, like, I just want a good playing game. And if the game can run at 1080p with a good frame rate, I'm fine with that. That's, especially with my vision, like, I'm sure I'll be able to tell the difference in some cases and things will look a little bit more crisp. But do I need the 4K? Probably not. And I just bought a TV, 2-3 years ago? I don't remember when I got my updated TV. So I'm not in the market for a new TV, And they said, they even said, oh, well, the Xbox One X, it will be better, for you 1080p owners. You can kind of crank things up and they'll run better, run faster, that kind of a thing too. So, I just don't know. I mean, I highly doubt I'm going to get a Xbox One X at least right away. If anything, it would be like I'd probably, depending on what Sony has to offer. I already have an Xbox. I already have a PC. The exclusives that don't come to the Xbox or Windows. I might consider getting a PS4 first, just because that way, you have both avenues covered. Like The Last of Us 2, I'm sure they're going to show that off tomorrow night, and oh boy, that's one, like, I love the first game on the PS3, so, that's one. And again, there's been some other stuff on PS4 that has come out that's been exclusive that could be pretty neat too, so you never know. But yeah, as far as, I think that's pretty much what they covered. Like I said, they ran through a lot of stuff. They ran through a lot of stuff at this thing, so I thought it was much, much better presented than the EA conference. Like, yeah, they talked a little bit about the console right away. They talked a little bit about the cars, or they, had a few blurbs of, dialogue here and there throughout the conference. But, like, it wasn't bad. Like, they were hyping it up, but they weren't lingering on anything too much. And largely, they let the games speak for themselves. They let the games speak for themselves. A lot of it was gameplay footage. They had a lot of pre-rendered stuff. I mean, you could tell a lot of things were heavily scripted, but at least you got an idea of what these games were for the most part. And a lot of them looked pretty good. So I thought Microsoft nailed it pretty well this year. If you don't have an Xbox, I might just wait for the Xbox One X, especially if you don't have a high-end PC and you don't want to get, a $1,000, $1,500 PC, and if you don't care about VR, it sounds like the One X could be a nice happy medium to play a lot of games on a pretty decently powerful rig. So you never know. That could be a way to go. But I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'm sure I maybe missed one or two things here and there, but yeah, overall I had a pretty positive, got a pretty positive vibe for this Microsoft keynote. We have Bethesda later tonight. I mean, literally, I think it starts at like 11 o'clock, because it starts at like 9 Pacific time, and it's like central here, so yeah, I was going to be up really late tonight. Probably won't record a video for it at least until tomorrow morning, depending on how much they cover. I might try to combine that and, what is it? Well, actually, there's 3 events tomorrow. You got the PC Gaming Show at noon. You've got Ubisoft at like 2 or 3. And then you have Sony later in the evening. So there's still, right now there's 4 events left. And then the show itself. But But yeah, I'm very interested actually to see what Bethesda has to offer, because they just started doing their own shows, what, 2 3 years ago, and they've had some really solid stuff. I mean, are we going to see Fallout VR? I don't know, maybe. I would love to see a single player expansion to last year's Doom, because that single player was freaking awesome. There's rumor of a new Wolfenstein game, which would be a-okay with me, because the last couple have been pretty good. And I hope they don't just go back to the existing franchises. Like, I hope that they do show something new. I would like to see something other than like the traditional Doom, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Elder Scrolls, yada yada. I want to see something cool, like something new, like, oh, that's different. I mean, it could be a first-person thing, but give it a new twist. But yeah, okay, I was supposed to, yeah, okay, okay. I wasn't paying attention. I was supposed to hit a switch there or something. Um, But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here as Alex gets teleported through this portal over to Doc over there. But yeah, I figured I would just show some kind of pretty relaxed game. Just something for you guys to look at in the background instead of just a static web page or something, because there's a lot to talk about in this conference. So yeah. Anyway, that is Microsoft. I will be back at some point, either once or twice tomorrow, and likely sometime Tuesday or Wednesday for Nintendo's and whatever happens there. So, yeah, I think we got at least 1 or 2 videos left here. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this so far. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Definitely check out some of my recent videos. I've done some iOS stuff. I've done some... there's been some really cool VR stuff lately. I'm gonna have if you follow me on Twitter, you may have heard that I mentioned something. I might be doing a Let's Play of a game that you guys might want to check out pretty soon. So there's that. Lots of stuff to yet to even unlock, or lots of stuff to, I've got a lot of ideas for stuff. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. And until next time, I will talk to you guys again later.